I still don't know how I feel about the hat yet. Shamu, everybody. I've got something else I want to say tonight. Something weighs a little more heavy on my chest than a light bulb metaphor. That went somewhere, I'm sure. I have been in and out of people's channels and people's lives the last couple of days, just kind of working the algorithm to get the algorithm to show me more stuff I want to see, kind of seeing what everybody else has to say. You know, just being out here. I think at some point we've become confused. If you take an idea, a path, a practice, tradition, a religion, a faith, whatever you want to call it, and the only time you bring it up is to neg on it and to rag on it and to talk about how terrible it is, you're not and you never mention any of the good stuff in it, any of the workable stuff in it, you're not deconstructing something. You're trying to be a mean girl. You're just being cliquey and petty and catty. You're not deconstructing. Half the time you don't even know what you're trying to deconstruct outside of the most simplistic, basic form of it. If you can look at something and all you can say is the negative stuff about it, it's not deconstructing. You're just whining and complaining, and I get it. I get it. Some things that need to be brought up. But if every time something is brought up in a context, and it's only ever the bad stuff said, that's fine. You are allowed to complain. You are allowed to be upset about stuff. But don't sit here and say you're deconstructing, because you're not. You're hiding behind some fancy word that doesn't actually see my video on why I hate the idea of deconstruction. That doesn't have anything to do with paths and practices, a term that is used specifically for writing. And a term you've shown you don't understand, and you're using it as an excuse, let's call it what it is, to bully something. And then you take the next step. And anybody who's like, hey, but there is positives to it, you accuse them of trying to legitimize it, or of actually secretly being that. Especially when it comes out of their mouths that they are not that. And then you say, well, you are because of what you said. You're being catty, you're bullying, you're failing to be a mean girl, and then you're completely invalidating somebody's belief system, right? If somebody says, this is my practice, and then they say something good about a different practice, and you're like, well, you're actually this different practice. Way to invalidate everything that they've done. And I have been seeing this a lot. There are people who are making videos, who are going live all day, and they're doing nothing but complaining about the same 3 or 4 things. On such a surface level. And then they say, I'm deconstructing from this. You're not. If you were, if allegedly deconstructing could occur to a faith, to a practice, to a religion, then what it would look like is looking at the belief system, discussing that belief system, discussing where ideas come from, how they evolve, what was being implied, what was not being implied and stuff, and putting everything under a microscope, not to neg it, but to understand it. That's what deconstructing is. when DeLuise talks about deconstruction, it's not to dismiss a thing by ragging on it. It's to understand what is the operative reality that the underlying words are trying to reach. Some of y'all want to be out here playing. And it's wild. Because a couple breaths later, you'll say the most out-of-pocket stuff. The most, like, unverifiable, ridiculous stuff. And then it'll be like, oh, yeah, we back all that, yeah. So y'all aren't looking for any truth. If you're deconstructing, you're looking for a truth. You're finding what holds true in something. You are taking it apart to look at the individual pieces and find merit. And you completely undo that idea when you have nothing but negative things to say, and when you follow it up with the most insane stuff. Oh, X path is bad because of Y of reason 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But this path, this other path where they could shoot flames from their hands, and that's why they were able to continue to succeed. And if we come back to understanding this, we can also do this. We're not deconstructing anymore. We're being catty and being ridiculous. It's fine if you don't like something, right? I don't like pistachios. But when I'm talking about what kind of stuff to add to my trail mix, I don't sit here and only say, well, pistachios have this taste, and there's this shell, and there's this, and that's the only things I ever say. I'm like, all right, well, cool. Pistachio's not a good nut, but macadamia is a good nut. Pistachio is used in these other things, which I enjoy these things, just not the pistachio in its nut form. There are different treats and baked treats and sweets that use pistachio very successfully. If I'm going to have pistachio, I guess I'll go have some of that. Let's add a little Chex Mix in. Let's have those little rye chips. I love those little rye chips. Let's put those in. Right? Let's take it apart. What don't I like about? It is inconvenient to have to crack a shell of a nut when you're really trying to get a quick snack. Okay, there's a negative thing. However, I have had many pistachio flavored treats that taste good, so there is a good flavor to it when worked. Now I am deconstructing pistachio. If it's always only the bad, you are just whining and complaining. That's literally it. Oh, well, these things need to be addressed. Go out in the world and do it. I find often that complaints that people have are complaints made by people who are not up to date with stuff. And that if they did look into things that were up to date, I'll take myself, for instance. For the longest time, I had the largest complaints about the Norse Path. Right? I wouldn't touch it because I was under the assumption of a couple things. When I looked and actually caught up with what they were doing, I was like, hey, the issues I brought up, they are working towards fixing. Really cool. All right, hey, can I join the conversation? Right? So we're complaining about outdated stuff. We're doing nothing but being catty, thinking we're mean girls, which that's a whole other thing about who are the mean girls in all this. And it's not y'all. There's nobody on here. Y'all aren't deconstructing. Y'all are whining and trying to be, like, petty. I don't know what it is. Anyways, I got 20 seconds left. May your ancestors bring you the sweetest of portents. May you have the most wonderful of dreams. May you all stay cool, and may you all stay safe. Xiao Mu.